with the Americans.
Office. But then you know what happens? There's a crisis financially at some point. They get thrown out, the Tories come back in, and you're back to your problem again.
Can I just point out one thing? With Ken Livingstone, he took over GLC after they had a little push. The person that won the election, that time, he was in, about a week later, Ken Livingstone. Now the same thing I wouldn't mind lessons would happen in the Queen. That he'll be in, and then sit back around, who seems to be the hard man time, he will take it.
Well, maybe. I mean, that doesn't mean it's going to happen again. I think Corbyn is unassailable now.
You can see him.
But can we go back to the Sharia scare and the Caliphate scare?
Let's come back to
this point. Let's talk about Muslims and Sharia in this country, and Muslims and the Caliphate.
You have your internal disagreements about what is what action you should take in relation to British behaviour overseas.
Yeah.
And some Muslims think, well, be at peace with the British who are here and the rest of the British. Other Muslims think, take action abroad against British soldiers or take action in Britain. And this is, within the spectrum of Muslim opinion. Now, my view is...
That's not the spectrum of Muslim opinion, but with respect, the four schools are clear that rebellion against a duly constituted government is haram.
But there are a good number of Muslims who've been surveyed. BBC poll about 4 years ago saying about 30% of Muslims under the age of 35 believe it's right to use violence to further Islam.
And the same survey was done to Christians, and the Christians who answered that survey had a higher figure than the Muslims.
Okay.
In fact.
Right. Now let's look at that. Then.
What you do is you cherry pick.
I'm not cherry picking.
Well, you are.
The spectrum. Your four schools
What do you mean by violence? You see, this is ambiguous. This is so vague and ambiguous. That's what you've just said. It can mean anything. Do I believe that Muslims have a right to defend themselves as Muslims if they're attacked using physical force? Yes. Now you could translate that into saying, Paul says Muslims support violence.
No,
that's what I've just said.
Some Muslims support defending themselves by violence, and that's no problem. But there
that's
are
what the
Muslims
Pentagon
who support
do. That's what the Pentagon do for a living.
Violence against British citizens to further their aims, whatever those aims may be. And because not just the numbers who do it.
No, that's not 30%. I think.
No, that's not 30%. No, I'm not saying it's part of the spectrum of Islamic opinion. If Muslims have opinions like that, that's part of the spectrum.
No,
now the question is whether Britain would be better off in having such people in Britain with those views, or having them out of Britain. It would be better for the British, those who were here, have been here for centuries, if those people were never here. The whole 2 million of Muslims, if they were never here, then we'd never have to worry about your internal debates about what is Islamic and what's appropriate and not Islamic.
They are here.
But I know.
What
is better for Britain? Now, more of them are coming every year. So the first time it's not turned up because you build your funeral pyre bad enough. When you keep stoking it, that's even worse. So you turn the tap off, and then you find all those who have limited leave to remain or no leave to remain, and deport them all. That thins out the number of
That's just like the Nazis with the Jews. The Jews are a problem. We need to
now,
get
if
rid
you
of the
say that's like the Nazis, so what? So what? It's like the Nazis.
What do you mean? So
what?
what?
In itself, examine it in itself.
I thought you were a Christian. What do you mean? So what? And now you're defending Nazi policies.
Because you're being emotional.
I thought you were a Christian.
Let me
answer.
The Germans don't have any Jewish problems anymore.
Can I respond to your point about
itself then?
Can I make a few things clear from my view? In my view, having looked at this a little bit, Islam is the authentic teaching of Islam, i.e. the Quran and the Sunnah, and the multiple hadith and multiple ayah in the Quran make very clear that acts of terrorism, killing innocent people, women, children, monks, you name it, non-combatants, is completely prohibited. Now that's not a modern liberal view, that's there in the original sources.
And thank you for that.
Let me finish, I haven't finished. So if there are, and it's not 30%, if there are some young, uneducated, crazy individuals
they're not in
who...
You say that uneducated. You've got very educated people.
Let me introduce you.
No, actually, let me
finish.
At great length to this, gentleman.
I want to respond what you say.
While I'm on my platform. Now, I think what
Can I respond to what you say?
You've got a nice view, and we love it.
Let me finish.
There's so many Muslims who are causing our security services to have to do vast amounts of work to stop this killing going on. And therefore, we are better off without Muslims here at all.
You're better off with Muslims here.
Let me explain why. Let me explain
why you're better off with Muslims.
Pool of thugs.
Let me
How
explain.
about the Jews next?
The Jews
are. The Jews, sure.
We had the Jews before, and he's happy with that. Muslims in general,
Well, we have the same
overwhelmingly,
problem with the
are
Jews.
peaceful, law-abiding people who have traditional values of honesty, hard work,
they weren't-
family
they weren't
values, and so on.
expelled
They
by the
contribute
Cromwell
a lot
back
to this
in.
country through their industry and through their citizenship. Now, if you want to ethnically cleanse this country, you're not white yourself, are you? You admitted that earlier
That's
on.
right, yeah.
Right. What's your background?
Doesn't matter.
So you, Mr. non-white person, if we were to get on a white crusader Christian horse, you would be out on the boat too. I wouldn't be.
Don't be emotional.
I'm an Englishman,
don't be
even though I'm a
emotional.
Muslim.
There's no
But you would
point.
be out of this country. So be careful what you wish for, because it will come round and its tail will lash around your neck and get you out as well.
Very good.
But it won't lash us out because we're Englishmen.
Yes,
if you're going to play
yes.
that game, you're playing with fire, because
Right,
Hitler
I
did
play
it
with
with the
fire.
Jews.
Well,
No, hopefully he's
play with fire.
having a religious discrimination, not racial.
Oh, come on. He's already agreed that he's a white
Eric,
nationalist. He's
Eric.
already admitted he's a white nationalist.
Eric, what matters is the ideas themselves, not who says them.
What
All
ideas?
this is hung up on this. Oh, you say it, therefore, well, you shouldn't be saying because you're brown. Right?
Yeah.
This is irrelevant. It's what I am, or what he is, or what anybody is. What matters is the idea in itself. Here's the idea: we have these millions of Muslims in Britain. From that pool of people comes those who exercise the efforts of our security services. And if the security services weren't so successful, we'd have killings all over the place.
Let me refute
Now,
that.
if we didn't
Let
have
me
any of these
refute
Muslims
that.
in,
Let
say
me
in
refute that.
1961,
No.
there were 10,000 Muslims in Britain. If we had 10,000 Muslims in Britain, never let a single more Muslim in, we wouldn't have all this trouble. So that's the argument. Now, just as I'm saying it,
Let
doesn't
me
make a
refute
difference.
that. Let me refute that to you. Now, I remember in the 1980s and 1990s and before that, because I live up Edgware Road, just south of Kilburn, I live in Maida Vale. I remember those dreadful people, the Irish Catholics. And do you know that they were, it was in the media, and how they gave help and succour to IRA terrorists, and how the security services were taken up trying to stop Irish Republican terrorists from bombing Hyde Park, from bombing our underground system, from trying to kill heads of government. And they did, they almost succeeded in killing Margaret Thatcher. These were Irish immigrants, and they were Catholic. Catholics, of course, are a bit foreign from us in this country.
absolutely not.
Historically they are.
Absolutely.
So
Historically
here
they're
we
not.
have foreigners, the Irish, from a slightly strange religion, Catholics, who are causing a little, to use your language now, let me just completely borrow what you said about Muslims and attack your position as a Catholic. These are a small minority who are given succour and support within the Catholic community up the road where I live, and who are sucking up all the time of the security services to protect us from terrorist attacks, which happen on a weekly basis. Many innocent people.
Yes.
Pubs were bombed, soldiers were bombed, heads of state, Thatcher, MPs were attacked and killed. So obviously what we need to do is get Catholics, because the whole ideology incubates Irish Republican terrorism. I'm speaking here from a 1980s point of view. I'm not saying I believe any of this shit, but that's what they said. That's what they said. That's what they said. I remember in the media. So we need to get rid of the Catholics, the foreigners,
I quite agree. This is
and
a
the
Protestant
Irish,
country.
who are clearly undermining our way of life through their strange foreign religion, and they're not from this country. So let's get rid of the Irish, get rid of the Catholics. That is exactly what you're
it
now
isn't actually.
doing with Muslims
Well,
and
no,
Islam.
I agree
It's the
with-
same thing.
not.
We've been here before,
It's not.
and before the Irish, it was the Jews. Look at the Jews with their strange foreign religion. Look at the Jews; they're taking over our way of life, and they're encroaching.
And murdering our policemen.
And murdering our policemen, and bringing communism, the subversive communist religion, which was started by the Jews, so the argument goes.
No, it's
So we need to get rid of the Jews, like the Germany. So we've done the Jews, and we go before that. We can go on and on. It's just the latest incarnation of a recurring issue. There'll be Muslims, Jews, Catholics, but you seem to forget
It's
that.
not. I've not forgotten it at all.
I think you have.
See, Irish nationalism is not religiously based.
Yes.
It's not based on being Catholic. It's based
It's not a
upon
bomb, I hope, is it?
seeing.
Tick, 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 tick.
Well, if it is, move over there.
It's based on seeing.
See, this is
The Catholic, the problem with the Irish terrorism was related to Irish nationalism because of the occupation of parts of Ireland by British
Absolutely.
forces.
They're still
it
Irish,
wasn't,
though.
It wasn't based on Catholicism.
Well, many Catholics supported it.
It wasn't based on
Many
Catholicism.
priests supported the IRA terrorists.
Succor was not
Do you
drawn
remember?
from this religion.
Oh, it was.
Because
Catholics were
because
supporting
the
it.
Catholic religion, yes, it's because of the nationalism. For example, you wouldn't get a single English Catholic who would have a natural proclivity to support this, because he's not an Irish nationalist or of Irish descent. No Catholics from any other part of the world would have any connection with this terrorism.
Is it Irish?
Because
You're
it's
talking
about,
about Irish
it's
Catholics.
about
You're not talking about any-
Irish
In America,
nationalism.
the Irish descendants who are American actively supported the IRA. You've got to
Yes,
remember
it's
this.
about their
So
nationalism.
these are Americans.
It's a racial
and
issue.
these were Catholics who
American
supported
Irish.
terrorism. American Irish
It's
in
a
New
racial
York,
issue
in
then,
New York,
isn't it?
famously.
Yeah.
And this was
Not
the problem.
Italian
that you had
Catholics
this
in
connection.
America.
You had religion, Catholicism, nationalism, and terrorism all mixed up together, and it was killing innocent people in this country. And many people at that time said we got to get rid of the Catholics and the Irish, because clearly they're all messed up in this nefarious, horrible thing.
Yes, but one has to analyse
And
it
that's
properly.
exactly what you're doing with Muslims. I think it's a load
Absolutely
of
not.
rubbish what I've said, because clearly Catholicism as a global historical religion, in its teaching at least, in the last 200 or 300 years, has not supported terrorism.
Did they not come to a political settlement?
They did, and it's very shaky. It's very shaky. It's very shaky
They
in
never
Northern
referred
Ireland.
to the Bible, they never
So-
referred to the Catechism.
We need a political solution in the
It's
Middle
nothing
East.
to do with
So
Catholicism.
we need to stop invading the Middle East. We just need to stop overthrowing governments like Gaddafi for all his sins. It's a hell lot better than the ISIS chaos and civil war we got now. That was it. We're always meddling and killing and overthrowing government. When will we learn? Never will we learn.
Therefore, we'll always have
when we
Islamic
get
terrorism
blowback
then.
from these people, and some idiots and
As you've said, we'll
come and
never
kill
learn,
us, we go,
and therefore
oh,
Muslims
Islam. It's
will
nothing to do
always
with
be
Islam.
trying to
It's
kill
to do
us.
with politics.
But Muslims will
reactionary
always
though,
be
isn't
trying to kill us.
Reactionary
And
hypocrisy and
therefore,
terrorism.
if we retain larger and larger numbers of Muslims in the United Kingdom, in the national territory, we will be suffering this attempt to kill us forever.
What a load of rubbish. That's
Oh, really?
absolute
So
rubbish.
if we carry on as normal,
Absolute rubbish.
Muslims will just suddenly stop, will they? When will Muslim, what
How many
will make
Muslim
Muslims
friends
to
have you
stop?
got? How many Muslim friends have you got?
It's a relevant question.
No, seriously, do you have any Muslim friends?
Say I had 100 Muslim friends or one.
How many
It
Muslim
makes no
friends
difference
do
to
you
the
have?
point.
No, seriously, how many Muslim
The
friends do you
point
have?
is this.
You're not going to tell me, are you?
That Muslims
See, this is
in
indicative.
the United
People who have
Kingdom
these views typically
wish
don't know any
to
Muslims,
kill
don't have Muslim friends,
British
don't have
people.
Muslim neighbours. They just hate Muslims.
Oh no, half a minute. I've had Muslims working.
Stephen Paddock.
So,
you
you
know,
know,
I'm not accusing you of anything.
Don't make-
I
no,
would disagree with you.
So the British have a choice. They have a choice to
mean-
allow an increasing number of Muslims in the United Kingdom, in which case that means forever to face the reality of trains being blown up, buildings being blown up,
no.
people being beheaded. That's the everlasting reality.
No,
when you
it's
have
not.
Muslims in your national territory. If you
like
don't
saying
understand that,
Christians
you're
in
blind.
history, isn't it? Catholic history.
I'm just
you
giving
stop-
a lecture on that.
If the
We must
fewer
not have
Muslims-
Catholics in
the
this
fewer
country
Muslims you
because
have,
they'll carry on bombing us, blowing
fewer
up,
of that you
killing
have.
our innocent people,
Blowing
bombing
up
parks,
Parliament.
and
Here, here.
blowing up
Bloody
Parliament.
Parliament.
Because your ancestors
No matter what
were
he says, this is
terrorists.
so.
November the
And he says
5th.
my
What
ancestors
happened
were
on
terrorists.
November the 5th?
If my ancestors were terrorists, they were my ancestors, not
Your-
people today.
your people were
Today,
motivated by
the problem is
Catholic terrorism
Muslim
on November
terrorists.
the 5th. Remember the
You all
5th
know
of
this.
November. Gunpowder, treason and plot. Catholics tried to destroy our democracy, destroy our
decision is-
parliament. Catholic
clear decision
terrorism in
is-
this country goes back centuries.
Decide whether you want your
Centuries of
country
Catholic
to
terrorism.
be plagued by terrorism
Catholic
for the
terrorism.
rest of the century.
It is Catholic terrorists who try to
That's what
blow
will
up
happen.
parliament.
The more Muslims
And
there
every
are,
year we remember
them
that.
well.
We remember that day they failed because of vigilance. Do you remember Catholic terrorists? Because of their religion. Tried to kill the king and MPs and blow up parliament. Catholic terrorists. So you're a hypocrite, my friend. You operate at double standards and hypocrisy. Because you would explain away the Irish Republicans and their fight for try to
Explain them away.
justify terrorism in England in the 1970s, 1980s or 1950s, as other guys said. But when it comes to when we bomb the shit out of Muslim countries, which we're still doing today, and we get blowback, which is pretty logical, someone's going to come and kick our ass. You say, oh, the Muslims, the Muslims. No, it's not the Muslims. It's British foreign policy stirring up a whirlwind of terror and evil in the Middle East, and we get some of the blowback back. Is it that difficult for you to understand that? It's not rocket science.
Well, can I ask
So
a
explain
question?
why the World Trade Center was attacked in
Oh,
19...
World Trade Center. Okay.
You're on dicey ground there.
Why is he on dodgy ground?
Eric believes it's blown up by Mossad. Anyway,
You believe it's a Mossad job, do you?
Mossad, wasn't it?
I haven't
90% it
named
was.
anyone.
No, but I'm asking you, do you?
two other
So-
spies.
I'm talking about that.
No, I'm talking about Britain. The 9/11's.
It wasn't 9/11 I was talking
What
about.
were you talking about?
Inside job.
Okay, let me finish
Do you
my
understand
question.
the logic of
Why-
our actions having
why
repercussions and
did-
blowback to us?
Why
That's
did
my question
Muslims-
to
Guys
you.
in the cave did 9/11.
Why did Muslims
Guys
try?
in the cave.
It had nothing to do
Remote
with Iraq.
control on
Yeah.
our iPhones.
It had nothing to do with Iraq.
Yeah, they were sitting in a cave.
Why did
Some
Muslims
bow herders.
try to blow up the World Trade Center in 1993 before Iraq was invaded?
You tell me. What
Or
was the measure?
Afghanistan
What did they
was
say?
invaded.
What was the reason they gave?
Muslims,
1991,
What was the
Iraq
reason
was
that people
invaded.
gave?
Muslims, you
Iraq
see,
was invaded in 1991. Okay, originally.
No, Kuwait was invaded.
No, Iraq was invaded.
No, Kuwait was invaded.
Kuwait wasn't invaded because
Kuwait was invaded.
Kuwait was
Kuwait was invaded.
Kuwait was created by the British after World
That's
War
not the
I
point.
as a
Created by the
police
British.
that's not his
state.
point.
Oh, there you go then.
What happened in Kuwait was, remember storming Norman Schwarzkopf?
Storming Norman
He wanted to take
What a
the
name
US
for a
army
general, I mean.
all the way to Baghdad.
No, if you're going to be
But
called a
the
general,
Jordan
call yourself
Fulbright,
Storm and
no.
Norman
They
Schwarzkopf.
didn't
That's
invade
brilliant.
Baghdad. Then they
You
didn't
actually
invade
have to go back to the
Iran.
70s when the Americans killed the Saudi king.
Now I'm not too bothered. I understand.
Twice
And what
they
about
I
the
understand
West support for
Muslims
Israel?
want to say,
Americans
you
killed
know,
the Saudi king.
Muslims naturally want to
That's why
justify
World
their
War
being
IV.
in the British national territory.
Me neither.
They
That's
wanted
not
the
my
Saudis.
concern.
The Saudis are the little dogs, black dogs.
I'm just saying to you who are British, you must know that if you allow Muslims to remain in your national
Are there
territory,
British people here, by the way?
then-
You're tourists.
you have the consequences which you must know. You see them already.
So
And
you
they'll
want them- you
continue
want Muslims
to
thrown
the end
out?
of the century.
So you want Muslims thrown out?
Choice to
Yes,
be
he
made.
does. He does.
So the choice is to
Choice to
throw
be
them out.
made.
Okay, well this is
I
my
think
interest.
Now
just
then.
like we shouldn't throw Catholics
Now then.
out because of
The other
Catholic
reason-
terrorism,
This is the
we
official
shouldn't
doctrine
throw
of the
Muslims
Catholic
out
Church.
The other
because
point- no,
of
that's my view.
Islamist
Now then.
terrorism. Now this
other
gentleman will
point
not
is-
admit
You hold a lot of
that
Catholics
Catholics
Not
have
just-
committed terrorist
Not
acts.
just terrorism.
Including Holocaust denial.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah,
Not just
He would
terrorism.
admit it. He would
Obviously,
admit
the
it.
Catholic Church
Islam-
gave permission for the
Islam, Islam is a foreign, primitive way of life. A foreign, primitive civilization.
Yeah, we're monkeys swinging on a tree.
Islam
They create math.
We'll
Because
have
it's
to have
inferior,
the Jesuit SS.
will only bring British civilization down the greater the number of
How
Muslims
do you
here.
bring a civilization down? What's the measure? What's the
Well,
metric of
he's
that?
doing a very good job of it himself
Yeah,
now
we're
by
politically-
talking rubbish.
So then-
he's
We're the
bringing
politicians,
civilization
aren't we?
down.
How
So
do
for
you
example-
measure the
Muslims are the
speed of a
great
civilization
politicians.
going
We
down? How do you
decide
do-
all,
you wanna know?
all policy.
Go on then.
Okay then.
I know, it must be the number of people going to Catholic Mass.
I'm moving on
For
now.
example, in Islam,
So Ireland is not
you have
civilized anymore.
I said
man
the
can
piece. Thank you
have
very
4
much for listening.
wives.
Bye-bye.
He can divorce his wife at will, and he has the right to beat his wife. That's bringing your civilization down.
Who's that?
Really?
That's Islam. That's Sharia law.
Oh, so I get to
Yeah,
I get to
how
sell
many
my
Muslims
raped
have to
daughter
do that?
for
How many
$300, yeah?
Yeah.
That's Christian law.
And there's rampant
$300.
Really?
Christian law.
figures.
The daughter has to marry the rapist.
and marrying your
That's
first cousin.
amazing, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Well, the deformities of children amongst Pakistani families is huge.
Really?
They marry their first cousin.
No.
I'm
part of
Pakistani.
Islam.
I'm Pakistani.
You
I'm not
just
married to
have
my
an
first
exact
cousin.
figure.
I married an Arab.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Next week, bring
that's
some
totally
exact
different,
figures
isn't it?
down.
I'll be here when next time I come
Because
here. I'll do
what
that.
we want to be sure is that you're not just mouthing
Now,
Indian,
imagine this.
Muslim.
My brother married an Arab as well.
If you marry your first cousin, there are going to be genetic defects, and Muslims have that
That's not actually
in a
true.
big way because they marry their first cousins. For us, it's prohibited. You know that it makes sense. You don't marry someone to whom you're genetically close. In Islam, that's a thing to do.
No, it's not actually. You can't. Are
First
you stupid?
cousins.
You Christians
First
are
cousins.
liars. You
First
don't
cousins.
understand culture
Do it all the time.
and religion.
They get them from the
You're
village.
using
How
what
many
maybe
Muslims actually marry?
Pakistanis, Indians, or Bangladeshis do.
In fact,
Do Arabs marry their
BBC
first cousins?
BBC Three
Any Arabs here that marry
has,
their first cousins?
get this,
Sorry, stop taking
BBC
it
Three has an item on this Pakistani woman showing that her father wanted to marry her first cousin, and she was saying, "Well, I don't know." She went to see different people, and
religion?
and they were giving pros and cons to marrying your first cousin, and the genetic argument was on the BBC. They're trying to sugarcoat it, so it goes on. That's why there's a program on the BBC. This is what Islam
The
mandates.
British brainwashing corporation.
Christianity does not.
Quite fair-minded. Don't
Christianity also mandates monogamy.
It is. It's a brainwashing corporation.
It's a superior civilization. No doubt about it. Islam is an inferior
Better than
civilization.
Vatican TV.
So what's
Islam
Christian
mandates-
civilization?
Islam mandates-
Pornography,
Get this.
crazy HIV rates, right? Drug abuse, abusing your neighbours, the poor being exploited by the rich, capitalism.
Are you depressed?
Yeah, I am depressed because I live in a Christian country, allegedly. All right, I was born and raised
You
here.
can
You're
go.
wrong.
Yeah, sorry.
Latest research published 2 weeks ago, and this is shocking news for him. Under half of the population for the first time define themselves as having no religion at all. So we're no longer, we're in a post-Christian country.
No.
I know that.
They may
Well,
not
are
have
we?
religion.
Are we
They may
now?
not have religion,
Is
but
that
they still
so?
believe in God. They
Is
believe
that
in
so?
paradigm
Yes.
shit.
You surprised
They've
me.
left
I
religion.
didn't realise
So
that.
we're no longer bending the knee to the Pope
I'm
anymore.
surprised. You tell me something I didn't know.
Not that bad.
Do you know,
My gosh.
Catholic,
No.
Ain't that
Catholics
amazing?
in Mexico,
I love it. I love
Catholic drug dealers in Mexico, they represent all
Vegan.
Catholics, right? So when they're chopping off people's
I
heads,
know.
taking their faces off, cutting their body parts up, they're doing it for the Catholic Pope, yeah, and Christianity. It's all for Christianity, isn't it?
Listen.
And when women are not allowed for abortions, and they're made to suffer, and they're rapists, and saying, ha ha ha, you're having my baby
You've been
now.
reading the Sun
That's
too long.
that's what Catholics as well, isn't
You
it?
want to try the financial
Catholics hate
times.
women, right? They want to abuse women. They want to keep women down.
Who's they?
Women are
Who's
Catholics.
they
Catholics.
again?
Women are not
they?
allowed to have any rights. Yeah, any rights, right? No, women are not allowed to have any rights. The only woman in Catholicism
You're as bad as
that's
he is.
allowed to have any rights, right? Is the mother
as
of,
bad.
is the woman you love, is the woman you worship, right? You worship Mary, right, as the mother of God. No, yeah. You worship Mary as the
I
mother
was
of God.
hoping to have a semi-intelligent discussion.
He's a crazy guy. You
All
gotta
I'm
have jokes
saying
with
is
him.
this.
You gotta make up mad stuff.
That in Islamic
Wait,
law,
wait.
a man can have
So.
4 wives,
Yeah, that's
and a man
right.
can divorce his wife.
And the Pope,
As he
and the
pleases.
Pope
You've
can
got
have
to
4
have
gay
4
lovers.
houses.
Nobody cares.
It's a
How many
Christian
Muslims can
marriage.
afford 4 houses?
How many
monogamy.
gay lovers is a priest allowed? How many gay lovers is a Catholic priest allowed? Oh wait. How many
You've been
boys
thinking a
is
lot
a
about this gay thing, haven't you?
How many Catholic how many boys is a Catholic priest allowed to abuse before he gets moved to another church? How many altar
don't know.
boys?
How many is it?
I don't know. I'm asking him.
Oh,
How many
I
altar
thought you
boys?
knew.
How many altar boys is a priest allowed to abuse before the
I
church
don't know.
moves
What
him?
do you say, sir? 6, 7?
So you
9,
see,
9, who knows?
How
Islamic
many
law-
altar boys?
Islamic
How many
law,
altar boys?
How many do you want?
I don't know. I wanna know.
Islamic law versus Christian law. Islamic law is grossly inferior. It's barbaric. It's subhuman.
Actually, economics.
So
we can
then,
use economics to show
what we need
Christian
to
law
do
is a joke.
Is to say
Christian law is
that
abuse
the
the
more
poor,
Muslims
give them alcohol.
you have
It is. It's
in the
Bible.
West,
What language is
the
word
more
alcohol?
degraded the West
You
becomes.
know Arabic.
No, it doesn't. Arabic
The
is
more
shame.
Muslims
Alcohol,
you have in the
algebra,
West,
algebra.
the more degraded the
This
West
is Arabic.
becomes.
So why do
talking
the
about
Arabs have a
alchemy.
word for
Alchemy or
alcohol?
The
whatever.
fewer
It
Muslims,
actually doesn't come
the
from
more
there.
elevated the West
It doesn't.
becomes.
The alcohol is not the Arabic word. Arabs use a word that begins with S for alcohol.
So that's what?
You want to check the roots,
I know. They use the word
roots of the
with
word
S.
alcohol are from the Arabic.
S.
Is it? Like